Hello and welcome back to another episode of Come Over for Dinner. I'm Bess Hawthorne, and today I'm joined by a very special guest. Her name is Lorin Grimaldi, and she is from Northeast Connecticut. She and her husband have been married for about 16 years, and she originally is actually from Texas, which is kind of fun. So a fellow Southerner joining me here. Her husband is from New England, and so they have a great balance when it comes to hospitality, and we're going to hear all about it. They have 5 boys ranging in age from 2 to 13, and she is now pregnant, and they found out it is a girl due in August, which is very exciting.
Yes.
She is also a homeschool mom and very active in her church. Welcome, Lorin.
Thank you for having me. So good to be here.
Well, I'm so glad you could make it on. I don't know what those 5 boys are up to, but I bet they're
I won't even tell
expending
you.
a lot of energy.
Yeah, I won't even tell you.
Whoever's
Yes.
keeping up with them.
Yeah.
I think we might hear some stories about them when it
I'm
comes to some
sure.
of her hospitality moments. Well, tell us a little bit more about yourself, and we can jump into just more about your family, more about your church, whatever you want to tell us about.
Okay. Well, I think it's important that you said I'm from Texas because I am in Connecticut. And Connecticut, as I thought about these answers, there's quite a culture here that I think is different from the rest of the United States. And that is so true of Texas also. So being a Texan transplanted into New England is crazy. It's different. I've been here I would say almost 20 years. And I'm still not used to it in a lot of ways, but there's things I notice about New England that it's different with hospitality than in the South. And I'm glad to have mixed all those worlds together. And I'm sure it's probably different where you live than it is here too. But I've brought a little bit of Texas to New England for sure.
I'm sure that they
hmm
appreciate that.
I hope
Some
so.
some
Some
Southern
people.
hospitality.
Yeah. Well, it's
It's
like,
well known.
yeah, I would say yes, ma'am, or yes, sir. And in the Northeast, that's like
Oh,
an
I
insult
know.
to some people.
Hmm.
Yeah. So you have to be
Yes, I
careful. I
remember
mean,
when I was a girl, we were in Chicago, Illinois for just a short time.
hmm
My dad did a kind of some sort of church ministry there.
hmm
And I remember my mom taking us to a lady's house, maybe for coffee or whatever, just visiting someone in the nearby neighborhood. And we were real polite, the girls. There were four of
hmm
us, and we were saying, yes, ma'am, and Mrs. So and so.
hmm
And she told my mom later that that was just really rude, and she was very
Oh
offended
no.
that she is not that old. She
Yeah.
did not want to be called Mrs. So and so. She wanted to be called whatever her first name was, Carmen or
Yeah. hmm
whatever.
More casual.
And we need to
Yes.
stop saying yes, ma'am. It almost like it was offensive. That
Yeah,
was the
it
first time I
can.
was
It
shocked
depends
as
who
a
you
kid.
talk to. Yeah, yeah. I still have my boys say yes, ma'am, and yes, sir for the most part. So
Oh,
far,
yeah.
we've done okay with that. I feel like it's better to err in
Yes,
caution, yeah, than hey, you.
absolutely.
I almost required it of a little boy at church the other day. He was like 5 years old. And I was like, wait a minute, that's not his parents' rule. That's our rule. I have to like check myself sometimes and realize not every little boy is going to say yes, ma'am. And that's okay.
It's true. Different
Yeah.
family
Different
cultures where
families.
they may not
Yeah.
have even taught them that.
Yeah, it's not
That's
a New
true.
England thing. No. And some of these food
Okay.
things are not New England either.
What is specific to New England? When I think of New England, I think of the East Coast, obviously,
hmm
with the fishing and the, fresh clams and that sort of thing,
Yeah.
just seafood.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say seafood, especially as you get up into Maine and the lobster, even Cape Cod. I would say in Connecticut too. But also just things that are, I think, more hearty, like a boiled dinner, rather than what I was brought up on was Mexican food and barbecue, basically just really cheap, whatever we could get our hands on for that stuff. And here it's a little bit more like root vegetables and just like a hearty wintertime kind of meal. So yeah, I'm trying to marry the both worlds.
I can imagine it's all very
Mhm.
delicious.
Mhm.
Well,
Mhm.
you mentioned to me that you are very active in your church, you and your husband, and that you help organize the church potlucks. So tell us a little bit about
Yeah.
that. How did you jump into that
Yeah.
and give us some of the details surrounding that?
Well, I've been reminiscing about when we got better as a church at starting our potluck culture because it was through my last pregnancy and I was just as sick with that little boy as I am this time. So I'm really just remembering all those details now that I've been sick the last couple of months. So I think it was just the way that I could serve during that time. I don't think we were having many people over into our own home, but I could manage to kind of dream up a lunch and provide something to bring at church and just pick a date, ask people to help. I tend to be loud enough to promote something like that and talk to everybody about it, get people excited. So it was something we started and our pastor wanted to do, especially after COVID. Part of our story as a church, I think, is just wanting to provide more hospitality and more fellowship time, especially having been separated during those COVID, not years. We didn't stay away from church very long, but for a little while, they were pretty strict in Connecticut with us and we did our best. But during that time, our family was really looking for fellowship. We had just taken in our first foster placement in 2020, who is now our adoptive son. And that was he was born March of 2020. So we had him come into our home in April. And then we were very lonely and isolated with him for a few months before everything opened back up again and church got going over the summer and stuff. So that just put this ache in my heart to be with people and to not forsake fellowship. And so since then, it's just been like one of the first priorities to my husband and I. We needed people at that time. We needed support and just understanding, people to come alongside us and see us with this little baby and this new experience and just talk things out with us and help. So yeah, since then, the potlucks have been important to us, having people in our home more often, all that, everything that comes with it.
About how big is your church?
Not very big. I mean, I guess it depends where you're coming from. In Texas, I would say this is a really small church compared to what I would see there. I want to say we hover around 150 people now.
That's a good size to know everybody, which is nice.
Yes, absolutely. I love that part of it. It's so sweet to know just the details about everybody's kids and everybody's life
Yeah.
and, the good and the bad, we go through it together. Yeah.
Sure. Okay, so when you coordinate, does everybody just bring whatever suits their fancy, or do you try to coordinate it around a certain theme, like where people are on a sign-up sheet?
I usually don't do signups. I don't feel like people are good at coming to the back and actually looking at it. And I don't really mind if they just bring whatever they want. But we do have themes every once in a while. I mix those in for fun also. And on those potlucks, I usually promote it a little bit more. I'll make sure to go before the church and say, okay, this is what we're doing, and make some little flyers and stuff. So we've done chili cook-off a couple of times, like a competition. That's been really fun.
Do you taste that many bowls of chili?
No, it's not fair. You don't end up really tasting all of them, but it's a church, so
Right, you just vote for the best one you had.
Or if you're letting the kids vote, I feel like things get thrown off really quick, because it could have started out fair, but then once you let the kids in the kitchen and they're all marking up we use index cards and just use a tally mark or a chili pepper sticker we did this year. The kids, it's not that they cheat, they just don't quite know what's going on.
They're just putting stickers wherever it looks good.
Yes. Well, we happen to have a man that we all lovingly call Chili Bob in our church, and he
Chili
won
Bob.
this year. So no surprise, everybody picked Chili Bob's chili, even though it was anonymous. Somehow I heard he was telling people in the potluck that was his chili, but I don't know.
Chili Bob may have thrown the contest.
I think so. Let's see. We've also done a November pie potluck where everything had to be a pie. And so we had sweet and savory. I like to alternate one year a chili cook-off in November or fall, and then one year pies because it kind of gives you a break from doing the same exact thing. So I feel like we've sort of stuck with things seasonally each year. We've done a casserole competition. We did soup, salad, and breadsticks, bread, whatever you wanted to bring. And then, sometimes it's just a mishmash of picnic foods or, Christmas time sort of favorites. And that's fun too. We had one guy just bring a jar of pickles because that's all he could really manage. He was a college kid. And I'm like, great. I mean, it's good to have people come. It's not really about the food, it's about the people. So we try to make them feel welcome. They don't have to sign up for anything. I just want them to come and enjoy and be a part of, the experience.
So, do you set everything up or do you recruit volunteers? Is there a team
Hmm.
or is it just real casual where you show up and everybody starts putting up tables and chairs?
Yeah, it's kind of a mix of all those things. We don't have a committee for this. We have lots of committees for other things, but not for potlucks or fellowship, not at this point at least. But my husband and I lead the high school Sunday school class, and we usually recruit the high schoolers to come and grab tables and chairs if we can. They're great at that. I mean, once they've done it, 2 or 3 times, they know, oh, Miss Lauren's here. It's 8 o'clock. Let's go down and help. They're wonderful with that. And then it's really fun to see who comes out of the woodwork to do dishes afterwards and clean up and trash. It's been really neat to see. It's not always the people I would expect to jump in and help. Some of the oddballs come out and help with dishes or just stand there quietly. And I'm like, this is so fun. It's neat to see what people like to help with.
Yeah, and another chance to visit and get to know people. I always feel with things like that, clean up, and it's just automatic. You can do it without much thought. And so
Hmm.
time's passing and it's a little bit boring. For me, if I'm at
Sure.
home, I can have on an audiobook or a podcast or maybe FaceTime my daughter or something like
Yeah.
that to get through the piles of dishes. But at a
Hmm.
fellowship meal or a potluck meal like that, it would be fun to just visit and get to know people who are cleaning
Yes.
around you because you can get that kitchen done without really having to focus too much on it.
Yes.
I'm always good at talking and cleaning.
Yeah. You start to see a pattern too. We try to incorporate them once a month, usually. And the same people know where the foil is to start covering and you realize, "Oh, this is so and so's crock pot." And everybody gets good at a job and we visit. Back in the fall, my littlest, my son had a blowout diaper at the potluck and was already filthy from the food. So we just stripped him down and put him in the sink and filled it with bubbles and we're all doing dishes and he's taking a sink bath and I that is just those are the memories that I want. I don't want to worry about sign up sheets. I want to see people just enjoying each other. So that's the goal. Yeah. Not a lot of rules.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, just it's not real organized. Not everything has to be
No.
overly organized.
No, I make sure that we have paper plates and all of the forks and knives and things we need. But other than that, everybody jumps in and helps naturally.
It is helpful to have one person who oversees just the general idea so that you do
Hmm.
make sure everything's in place generally. Because even if people are bringing all these dishes, if there's no
Hmm.
forks, that's a problem. If
We have a
there's no
problem.
plates or
Yeah.
we run out of bowls for the soup competition, that's a problem. So
Yeah.
just having a
Yeah.
person to coordinate and kind of have an eye on everything is a
Sure.
wonderful job to take on.
Yeah. Just to ask questions.
Well, tell us when you're at home and having people to your home, give us a favorite meal you might serve.
Okay, I was thinking about this. There's two I keep going back to. I would say one leans a little bit more New England style, and one leans a little bit more Texas or like Tex-Mex. So I like to do probably more in the fall and winter time, a big sheet pan dinner of chopped up cabbage, not really finely chopped like a slaw, but just kind of coarse, big heads of cabbage chopped up into, I don't know, maybe 1 inch sections. I'll usually spread a big cabbage or maybe two if it's like a full sheet pan and do chopped up cabbage with like olive oil and spices, garlic and onion. And then a lot of times I'll add whatever other seasonal veggies are on. So it could be just like smaller slices of carrots. Lots of times I like to do bell peppers, green beans, just whatever we have, really, whatever's in season. So I do a big bed of cabbage. And if you roast it long enough at, say, like 350, 400. I'm not real exact with the details. I usually just roast it for a good long time. The edges will kind of crisp up brown and get almost like a little bit of a caramelized sort of flavor. So I'll do that in the oven, and that's easy because you can put it in way ahead of time and then just keep it warm in there. It could be 2 hours before and you cook it for an hour and then keep it warm for an hour even. Somewhere along the way when it's cooked for a while, I'll do sausage on top. And that's like the main
Of
meat with it.
course, that sounds
Yes.
delicious. Roasted vegetables are the best,
I
and
do
kids
like
usually
that.
love them.
Even if they don't, there's enough other food usually that they don't have to go straight for the cabbage, but adults are usually fine with it if it's cooked well. I like it. I usually make what I like. So I'll do maybe half sweet and half spicy Italian sausage on top. We have a really good couple of good butcheries or butchers around us that make good sausage. And then you can also throw hot dogs on for kids if they would rather have hot dogs, which is cheap and easy, and kids are happy with that. So that's a go-to. I usually serve bread and a salad with that. Maybe even another starch like a potato. I like to do cast iron potatoes. I'll just fill up a big cast iron with baked potatoes, bake those for an hour or so, and then I like to take them out, kind of smash them from the top and add sea salt and olive oil to crisp them up again. You could do cheese on it. So then you have two kind of carb options, bread or potatoes or both. But that's like a great comfort meal in my mind. That's one of my favorites. And then maybe something that's a little more spring and summer. We had this friend that made us chicken once when I was postpartum, probably with a baby. And he said it was so good. It was basically just like a 9 by 13 with chicken in it, really nice and tender. And it had some kind of salsa over the top that he had cooked it in. And the chicken is just so tasty and soft and enjoyable. So we're asking him, what is that? And he says, it's Che Cheese. It's Che Cheese. And we're like, what is Che Cheese? It's okay.
Now, is this the Texas menu?
You know, he is from Texas. He was a transplant here as well, so that's why he's close to my heart. It was Chi-Chi's salsa in a jar from like Walmart. I mean, really easy to find. So Chi-Chi's is Chichis. It's not expensive. I wouldn't recommend it as an amazing salsa on its own, but it's really, really good poured over chicken and then baked like you would, just bake chicken any other way.
It keeps the moisture in the chicken. It really does.
It works. It works well. So I've been doing that in a 9 by 13. I'm sure you could do it with chicken thighs also. And then I usually pull it out, kind of shred it up or just cut it up. And that's delicious on its own. You could do that in tortillas, or it's so versatile. But I've been serving that with rice or Mexican rice. You could do you can do that in the Instant Pot. And then black beans, either canned or fresh, like homemade. Tortilla chips and a fresh salsa, like a pico de gallo. And then a salad with ranch. Oh, I feel like you could just pour salsa and ranch dressing over that whole plate and it'd be delicious. So we like Chi-Chi's chicken.
Chi-Chi's chicken. Yeah. I will have to make this. I have not seen that salsa, or at least it's not standing out in my mind. I will have to notice it when I go to the store.
Yeah, Walmart definitely has it. I'm sure it's almost everywhere. I don't think it's kind of like
common brand.
Yeah, I like a paste picante sauce, but this one's maybe a little bit better. Like I said, it's not like it's a fantastic salsa on its own, but over chicken, baked in the oven, it does something great.
And how easy is that?
Yeah, really
just to be able to do a one-pan wonder and have it just sitting in the oven, staying warm while you're waiting on your guests. You can kind of cook it ahead of time, have it sitting there. Yeah. All of that.
You can do all of that ahead of time.
One of my favorites for a sheet pan that I've done in the last year or so. Have you ever heard of sheet pan quesadillas? I think it was all the rage for a while.
Yes. I just learned how to do that.
So easy. I love quesadillas, and I have made them before, but they're so time consuming and tedious, similar to making, I don't know, just, when you're making an individual something for every single person.
You have to babysit that,
It takes so long. And then if you're all trying to eat together, part of it's cold and then part of it's warm, or people have to eat in stages. Anyway, the sheet pan quesadilla solves this problem. And another thing that I love about the recipe that I've been using, I have a cookbook from the Pioneer Woman that had sheet pan quesadillas. And I love her recipe. I've made it multiple times. I have kept that one in mind for when I'm traveling and want to cook at somebody else's house. So I went to the South and wanted to make dinner for my daughter, I'll cook tonight. Another family was coming over. And I just had the thought, sheet pan quesadillas, because kids love it.
Yes,
the meat and cheese. There's some other things in there too, but the kids devoured it, and it really felt like cheating because I'm just dumping things.
So
anyway,
easy, yeah.
I'll have to post that recipe, but if people have not made sheet pan quesadillas, you should try it once in your life if you like quesadillas, because all you do is take a big baking sheet and lay out the tortillas and then fill layers.
Layer it
I think
on,
it's for me, I think it was chicken. I'm sure you could use ground beef if you wanted to, but for me it was chicken, cheese. There were other things. I'm not sure if hers had beans and corn or what all the different layers were. Was delicious. More cheese to top it off, and then you just kind of fold them all up to where they overlap the top, and then you put one more tortilla in the middle so that it's just completely enclosed. Put it in the oven, cook it for a certain amount of time, and then cut it into wedges. So good.
Did you put a second cookie sheet on the top of yours?
Yes, actually,
Okay,
I
good.
did.
I feel like that's the trick. That's the trick
Yeah.
right there.
I
Yes.
think so. It holds everything in place, and then that heat from the cookie sheet also browns the top.
Hmm.
And then you just, cut it into your slices, kind of like a big sheet pan pizza, deep dish or something.
For a crowd, did you do 2 or just one sheet
We
pan?
only did one because it was what I would call a small crowd, but a lot of the people eating were
Okay.
tiny little kids. And so if it was a bunch
Yeah.
of teenagers or adults, I would have needed to make 2.
Yeah.
But I think I had a side
I was
with
thinking I
it.
could do 2. Yeah.
I had a side
Hmm.
with it. I can't remember what, maybe a salad and then some dessert. But 2 would be good if you were feeding very many people.
Yeah. Because I'm thinking if you did rice and beans on the side, I don't mean just plain rice and beans. I like a good Mexican rice recipe. And then I was actually thinking of these seasonings. You might be familiar with these, Bess. They're the Bolner's Fiesta
Okay, I
seasonings. Have
think
you ever seen
so.
those in
Yes.
Texas? These are my favorite. So I have one that's pinto bean seasoning. It's the best. It's not too salty, so you can add a lot of that to your pinto beans or black beans or even a quesadilla, and it's so flavorful. But steak seasoning, the extra fancy, is our like family favorite forever.
Yes. I think we have that in our
Yes.
cabinet
Yeah.
right
Well,
now.
I mean, I don't get back to Texas that often, but people know me so well that they bring me one every time they travel or go visit, yeah, so I
It's so
always have
fun.
it. And I know you can get it online easily nowadays. You can order it.
Oh, that's nice too. Yeah, if you have a
Mm,
seasoning from somewhere you don't live. Another trick that I tried recently is Walmart delivers for free. Well, I guess you may have to be a member. I'm not sure. I think if you get over $35, it's free.
mhm,
Regardless, they do shipping. If you do not know,
mhm,
Bon
mhm.
Maman, the jelly brand, it's delicious. I know it's more expensive than other jellies, and yes, it's a treat. I recently bought a jar of Smuckers and cherry
No.
Smuckers, and it was just not even worth eating. It was
Mm,
terrible. There were no cherries in it. You get Bon Maman,
the
and it's
best.
just amazing. Cherries everywhere. Somehow I came across the fact that they now have
Mm.
guava preserves, which I don't know if there are
Mhm.
tropical lovers out there, but I grew up, one of our favorite things ever when our parents took us to Florida
Uh-huh.
was guava juice. And it was this huge treat. Anyway, so I do love some guava things. And they now have guava preserves, and I had to
Yeah.
get my hands on them, and I had them shipped.
Yeah, I've looked into HEB shipping it, and I'm pretty sure you can do that. But they have it directly on the Fiesta, Bolner's Fiesta website or Walmart usually. So it's semi-available across the US.
Right. Real quick, one more tropical recommendation that I just came across because this is
Okay.
going to come out in the summertime. I just came across in the grocery store a Haagen-Dazs sorbet that is passion fruit. It was called like
Mm-hmm.
passion fruit and pear.
Ooh.
So delicious. So delicious. It just made me
Yeah,
so
yeah,
ready
that's
for
a summer
summertime.
flavor.
They had some other fun flavors too, like blueberry and lemon, and maybe like lemon and
Yum.
coconut. I don't know. I'd never seen them before, so I'm not a real
Yeah,
big expert on Haagen
that
Dazs, but
sounds
it did look
fun.
really delicious, and I did have to try the passion fruit one. And I will say that, well, I can't really say it tasted like Hawaii because I've never been to Hawaii, but
At
if I
least
had to
like
guess,
Florida, right?
yes, it
Mm-hmm.
tasted really good. It was right up there with
Yum.
tasting like something fresh and delicious. Okay, so back to your menu though. I know we've kind of covered a couple of different menus and some sides. We've got to hear
Oh,
about dessert
dessert.
now.
I'm so guilty of bad desserts lately. I just in early pregnancy, the last few months, I have been shown hospitality and I've not really been in the spirit or in the routine of it lately. I mean, that's such a sweet thing to have other people showing hospitality when you need it also. We just served friends of ours who came over last weekend. It was like our first inaugural hospitality moment in months after coming out of all the illness and pregnancy, morning sickness. And I just opened up a bag of store-bought cookies and we were all happy and it was fine. Everybody was still so happy.
Yep. I absolutely love that recommendation.
Yeah, because it's practical. Do what you can do.
Yes. Tonight I've signed up to take a meal to a lady who had a baby recently. And I do have some little desserts in the freezer that I could pull out, but they have a bunch of little kids. And I was thinking, with the kids like this, is it easy to eat? I bought a box of ice cream cones.
Perfect.
Just like, I
Yeah,
think
they
that they will
will.
appreciate this more. Have you heard of one more quick little ice cream plug, and then I'll let you tell us your delicious dessert?
Yes.
You've heard
Yeah.
of Nutella. Everybody knows Nutella. I think kids love Nutella. Teenagers could eat it by the jar if you allowed them to. Nutella has recently come out with an ice cream,
Oh,
and it is worth buying. It is absolutely delicious. But they also have Nutella, the ice cream inside of a little ice cream cone with some
okay.
frozen Nutella at the bottom. You know how at the
Oh,
very tip of the cone they put a
yes.
little
The
chocolate? There's
best
some
part.
Nutella. They fill it with ice cream, and then on the top there's this chocolate layer.
Yeah.
They look really good. Anyway, that's what they're getting tonight. Like the kids will go for this Nutella ice cream cones.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I love the idea of if you are like you recovering from morning
Yeah.
sickness or you're in a hurry or whatever, store bought's totally
Yeah.
fine. Kids love it. But what is your other
Yes,
recommendation?
I'll give you some homemade. I think
Okay.
it's good to have things just come out of a box sometimes when it, like I said before, it's the people that matter. We want to be with people. If it makes it practical to have a box cookie, then that's fine. That'll do. Although I do love homemade desserts. I'm kind of a snob about that. I'm sure we both are. Okay, the two favorites in our house. It's both of them easy and kid friendly because we've got 5 kids. Most of the people that we have over have lots of kids too, or some. A lot of times I'll do an oatmeal chocolate chip cookie. There's a certain recipe I like. Brown Eyed Baker makes a really good oatmeal chocolate chip cookie. And this recipe, I've made it 100 times and it's just worked out great. As long as you chill the dough, you're good to go. But it makes a really big batch, and the cookies themselves stay together well and they travel around the house well with little kids. So they don't make a big mess if you just grab it and go. And a lot of times we've got preteens over that just want to grab a stack and run outside. So those are always a hit. I feel like a chocolate cake is always a good idea. The Hershey's Perfect Chocolate Cake, I think that's the recipe with the perfect chocolate frosting. That's a favorite. And then there's one special dessert from Texas that I'll make from time to time. It's better probably in the summer, although it's a little bit melty, but they're called Baby Huey bars, or some people call them Neiman Marcus bars, but we call them Baby Huey bars. It's kind of like a vanilla cream cheese, similar to a brownie, but it has more of a gooey top. Those are delicious, and you can freeze them, cut them up and freeze them, and then pull them out to serve, in an hour or something. So that's another make ahead, really good bar dessert. That recipe came from a crying pastor in Texas that he just every week he would end up in tears somehow on stage. But this recipe came from his family and we're so thankful for him. But my mom will always say that. She's like, yep, those Baby Huey bars and the crying pastor, don't know what that was about. They're good. They're that good. So we make them still.
It is great. We'll have to get that recipe from
Yeah.
you. I have heard of
Yes.
the Brown Eyed Baker. I need to relook at that website. The only recipe I remember making from her that stands out as soon as you said that was her homemade Cliff Bar recipe. It was back
Oh.
in the day when Cliff Bars were kind of new to the scene. She
Hmm.
came up with a homemade version. And
Hmm.
I remember making them when my kids were doing sports and taking them to a track meet once. And because they were a healthy kind of good energy type bar, but also
Hmm.
delicious. She uses brown rice syrup, and there's definitely some
Hmm.
chocolate chips in there and that sort of
Yep.
thing. But it has dates, which give them that good energy burst. I think they're a good
Hmm.
sugar, and some oats and peanuts and flaxseed,
Yeah.
things like that. So I'll have to post that recipe too because we really enjoyed that for the kids, the homemade Cliff Bars.
That's a
But
good suggestion.
her
Yeah.
oatmeal cookies sound delicious too. Do you have any shortcuts or time savers that would go well with the menus that you talked about?
Well, doing everything ahead, as far ahead as you can, is everybody's golden tip on come over for dinner, right?
Yes,
So I would say,
absolutely.
choosing meals that you don't have to babysit over the stove is probably the best prep tip for all of us. I think other than that, I have really enjoyed those little, oh, I'm going to blank out on what the brand name is. They're little frozen squares of garlic. They come in like a little blister pack kind of, and you just keep them in the fridge or the freezer. Oh, they have a red top. I cannot remember the name of the
I
brand.
know what you're
Those are
talking
so
about. I'll look
helpful.
them up while you're saying that. And you said
Yeah.
garlic. I know they have ginger too because I have used the ginger
Yes.
ones.
Yeah, and that's helpful because you're not using ginger every day, I'm sure.
One brand, I'm sure there's more than one, especially in bigger cities, but one is it's Dorot Gardens,
Yeah, I think
Dorot
that might be it.
Gardens.
Yeah.
The cubes are pre-portioned,
Mm-hmm.
ready to use. You just pop it out, and I think it
Yeah.
says, is it a teaspoon for each one or a
It
tablespoon?
looks like it's about a teaspoon. I think teaspoon would be right.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those are awesome. Just easy. Kind of like using frozen onions, something like that.
Mm-hmm. We'll be right back after a quick message from today's sponsors. Are you searching for hands-on activities to help your kids explore the practical side of science? Look no further than your kitchen. Inquisicook blends food science and culinary arts into an engaging program that puts delicious food on the family table. Let Inquisicook do the teaching with lesson videos, reliable recipes, and assessment tools that put students on track for success. Their online platform is easy to navigate and optimized for mobile, so the learning experience can move from the classroom to the kitchen without a hitch. Inquisicook turns curious students into intuitive cooks, not just recipe followers. Say goodbye to the tyranny of the ingredients list and say hello to utilizing what's in season, what's on sale, or what's in the fridge. Visit inquisicook.com to view sample lessons, then check out the recipe gallery to see just how crave-worthy science can be. Be a time traveler. Sail the seas with Odysseus, escape prison with Edmond Dantes, and defend the innocent with Ivanhoe. Join us at timetravelersLiterature.com. Enter a whole world of story where books uncover the riches of other books, where you discuss classic stories with other homeschool students, and where you are the time traveler, appreciating the work in its own literary tradition, its time in history, and its culture. Find out more and enroll in courses at timetravelersLiterature.com. All right, what is your best prep tip when you're having people come to your home? When you have 5, now almost 6 children running
Yeah.
around in the house, do you get
Yeah.
them to help you? Are they old enough to help you? I guess they're 2 to 13, so some of the older
Mm-hmm.
ones probably really can be a true help. How do you coordinate
Mm-hmm.
that?
I think I was thinking about this and really, what do we do? What makes it work? I think a big part of it for our family is having these routines set in place every day and kind of keeping our home, hopefully, not always, not when you're in the middle of morning sickness season, but most of the time, keeping our home in a level of cleanliness that we can get to a place, like relatively quickly that we can host people and feel comfortable all together.
Right. It's not bombed out during the week. And then you
Yes,
just have
I
to
can't. Yeah,
do
I
8
can't come back
hours
from
of
that.
work.
No,
No.
no. And I don't think that's pleasant for anybody. I don't think that my kids would want 8 hours of a cleanup day or my husband or me. Yeah. So we try to be organized with them on a day-to-day basis. And I think in any kind of large family or with younger elementary and middle school kids that aren't helping a lot with cooking and stuff yet, it's good to just set that expectation of kind of hoping that each day has this normal cleanliness level, and then we can do a little bit extra or pick up a little bit more when people are coming. So our kids are color coded in our family. Each of the boys got a color when they were born, and anything that I can put in their color, I do. So right now we have 5 colors, and I get to use pink finally when our baby girl comes. I've been waiting to use pink all these years. So, like things like their backpack are in their family color. That way they have to hang it up, and I know exactly whose is whose based on what color I see. Bath towels are in their family color. Even everything down to even the little boys' bicycles are in their family color so that I know whose bicycle is laying out on the driveway and needs to be put away. That's what I mean by a level of cleanliness where, we're not running this like military style, but they're sort of used to the routine of, oh, this is my responsibility. I have to pick up after my own thing. We know what color your towel is if it's on the floor. And then when the day of comes, hopefully they've already been in the routine each day of picking up their own stuff. And I don't expect anything to be perfect. Like, we don't really even make them make their beds each day, but I want to be able to hand out a chore like we do every other day of the week and say, okay, this is your part of helping out for today, and know that they can handle that. So I think it starts with just expecting, a normal level of help each day. And then when those times come where you're giving hospitality, it's not so strange for them to pick up a little extra work. But I do also
Sure.
try to take most of the work on myself because I really want hospitality to be a blessing to them also as kids. So it's that balance of you've got to be helpful and responsible and know what your role is. And also, mom's going to bless you and make a big meal that you're going to be really happy with, and your friends can come play. And so there's joy too.
Right. You're not making it miserable.
Mhm.
And the color coordination sounds like it would eliminate the forgetfulness that kids are so prone to, where you have the little argument of, well, that's not my towel. Well, it's not my towel. Well, I didn't
Mhm.
leave it there. And you don't really know.
Yeah.
And they truly may have forgotten, because the way little boys operate is as soon as they dry off and fling the towel on the floor and they're racing out the door to the next thing, they
Yeah.
really have
Oh, yeah.
forgotten that they even showered and
Yeah.
had a towel and
That's
threw it
right.
on the floor. So if there's a certain color, it's like it kind of recalls to memory a little bit better. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that really was
That's
my
me.
towel.
Yeah.
That's me.
Consistency. Yes, I hope so. I hope all this sticks. And like you said, it brings up a really good point in teaching responsibility. I know this is not food related, but it is the way we make it work as a family in order to serve others and enjoy being with others. We've kind of got to have a little bit of control over our own family life first and have things under control. So our boys do their own laundry. They each have a day of the week that is their laundry day. And it might sound like that's a lot for a 2-year old. He's almost 3, or a 6-year old to do their own laundry. It's not, though. It's really fun, actually. But they don't have to do anyone else's laundry in the family. They're only responsible for their own and their own bath towel. And just like you said, that negates a lot of the stress between them. There's not a lot of strain of, oh, I have so many siblings and I've got to help with all this folding. It's just their laundry. It's just their responsibility on their day. And that keeps the house moving really well so that when Saturday comes along and we want to have friends for dinner, there's not a big pile of laundry usually because they've taken care of themselves. So that stuff makes a huge difference, I think. That's what's made it workable for me.
Well, that blesses you and it blesses them. I think sometimes parents put off teaching their children responsibilities like that because it doesn't look as neat and clean. It's not as fast as what mom
Mhm.
could do. But when you give them those tools and they do them over and over and over and over, and they do
Mhm.
master it eventually, obviously, a 2-year old helping you is going to look very different than a
Right.
13-year old. But when you give
Sure.
them that independence, for years, you are not having to do their laundry. It's their
Yeah.
responsibility,
Yeah.
and they can go off into the world knowing how to do their laundry and a host of other things. It's just
Yay.
such a blessing to them, such a blessing.
Yeah.
And it is hard for some personalities, I would say mine,
Mhm.
to let that go. If you have kind
Mhm.
of a more of a detailed personality. I'm saying detailed,
Sure.
and so I'm not using the word perfectionist, but
Yeah.
perfectionist
Picky, a little
personality.
bit picky.
A little bit picky. I,
Mhm.
having 5 kids, would joke, the reason God gave me 5 kids is so that I could not. You just don't have time to absolutely control everything, do
Micromanage.
everything
Yeah.
perfectly, micromanage. You can't. You
Yeah.
have to let things go and say,
Mhm.
you do the laundry, you do your laundry. Obviously, if you need help or I need to give some input, but
Mhm.
it's yours. It's your task, and to let it go. Let them do it. Fold how they need to fold, or do their socks how they need to do their socks, and it
Exactly.
just was
Yeah.
so good for me, but so good for them because I realized that it gave them such independence that they can go out into the world, whether they're on their own or they're married. They can be just a helpful person in the house, not the person who
Contribute.
is
Yeah.
throwing all their laundry in the floor and wondering who's going to come pick it up.
That's true. Because sometimes you'll have one really responsible kid that would say, oh, well, I'll just make up for this other kid who's a little lazy in this area. And I think this deletes all of that confusion and just says, nope, everybody's taking care of their own stuff and working with the system. And we make it fun. I mean, it's been a celebratory thing over the years that we're like, you get to do all these things independently. And we're going to start now. And hopefully that makes them more hospitable as older men that can reach out to others because they're good. They've done their laundry. They're good.
Yeah,
Small things like
absolutely.
that.
It
Yeah,
will.
makes it work.
What is your best advice for making people feel welcome when they come into your home, besides having just a nice,
Mm.
warm, clean home? A nice,
Yeah.
clean home that your kids contributed to.
Yeah, that is really nice. And they feel good about that. I don't ever want to come off as, because it almost could sound like my personality is a perfectionist type by saying we have to have all this done at this time. But, there's leeway in all these things. There's flexibility for sure. I like to just make sure when people walk through our doors that I'm taking 5 minutes to not be focused on anything else, and whatever's not done yet it's okay. It's just going to sit there a few minutes and take those first 5 minutes to really engage with our guests and make sure I'm there at the door to meet them. Our kids rush to the door first, of course, but I like to make sure that Tony or I come with them and just, look into their eyes and smile and give them a hug and like welcome them and make sure they know this is not a burden to me. Even if it is a bit of a burden in the moment, I don't ever want somebody to feel like that walking through our doors. I just want them to see God is providing the grace that we need in the moment for whatever the situation, whether something's burning or something's not picked up, it's okay. So I try to really drop everything and be right there for our guest and just engage with them.
That's very good advice because if you're shuffling off or kind of a busy hello, guests do feel that.
Hmm.
They feel like they're intruding or they're maybe came at the
Yeah.
wrong time. And even if they are on time, it
Yeah.
doesn't put them at ease.
Yes, and those first few minutes make a really big impact on how they feel the rest of the night.
Mhm.
So, exactly like you said, I've been to a house before where we weren't greeted at the door nor the back door, and we're like, are we here on the right day? This is crazy. And we never really went back for another dinner because it was that weird. So, I never want someone to feel like that at our door. I want them to feel like they're walking into good fellowship with a family that is hopefully, in good fellowship
Ready
with
for
each
them
other.
to
And
come.
yeah, yeah.
Was
And
the
not in a
family
fake way, but
home?
just genuine. They
Yes.
were, they were home. Yeah, they were. It was weird. It
They
worked out
really just weren't
okay,
ready.
but no, yeah,
Huh,
it was weird.
that's odd. Interesting. I do need to think through those things and be even more prepared myself. A lot of people on here have talked about, besides the greeting, the warm greeting at the door, or
Mhm.
having someone there, just being able to put something in their hand, offer them a drink. Some people
Mhm.
have appetizers. I typically don't because I prefer just a big dinner where I don't want to feed everybody
Yeah.
right before dinner and then be full, but
Yeah.
that's just my personal preference. I don't think there's
Mhm.
anything wrong with an appetizer, but I'm not great about having secondary drinks. And I thought, well, that is something
Mhm.
I should probably try to do because I'll usually have the table set, water glasses filled, and wine on the table or something like that, but not
Mhm.
I'm handing you a drink or we have
Like
something
a
else set
starter
up that you
drink.
can choose if we're going to talk for a few minutes. Maybe we're waiting on another couple to come over, whatever. So I feel
Mhm.
like tips like that are good.
Yeah. Well, that's been really natural this last year because my husband has so conveniently joined me in hospitality of his own kind for the men. He started brewing beer in our basement last year. And I mean, this got serious real quick. Not just a home brew beer, but like 10 out of 10 amazing beer. So he's brewing by the keg now, and we've got a kegerator and a whole setup. And so he will welcome people in and just get them right downstairs into the basement and offer them a drink. And it's like, I mean, that's a great way to start conversation and just make somebody feel really happy and comfortable to try something like that. So that's been awesome.
People are just hoping for an invitation to your house.
Yeah,
If the
well, it's
word
getting to be a
spreads, they're
problem.
like, can we get on your list? We want to come
It's a
over and
problem.
try the
Yeah,
beer.
it's started. The word has gotten around, and we now whenever he has, so it takes a few weeks for a home brew. He's very scientific about it, and like I said, he's brewing by like the 10-gallon batch at this point. We're not even messing around with bottles. We're just going straight for kegs. It's really been fun. So now when a brew is done, the men at church will hear about it, and then they start to kind of line up for who's coming over first to try this next one. But that's a great way to provide hospitality. It's a whole nother reason to say, hey, come try this. Let's have dinner. Bring the kids. It's been really awesome.
That reminds me of unexpected hospitality. Not long ago, I had Anna Kahaney on, and she was recommending the book Unexpected Hospitality by Will Guidara. He was just a quick summary, New York restaurateur. He wasn't the chef, but he co-owned it with the chef, and he ran the dining room portion. And together, they turned this New York restaurant, which maybe started off as a 2-star, into a top Michelin star, 4-star New York Times. It's just top rating of everything. And then one year it was voted by this restaurant group that has this certain award. It was voted top restaurant in the world. Of all the contenders, they earned top restaurant in the world. Anyway, this book is an autobiography that talks about that journey and just the things that they put in place and the mindset and how to treat the guests. And it's called Unexpected Hospitality. I thought it was a very interesting read. But one of the things in there was a surprise gift for your guests. And Annika mentioned like doing dirty Cokes, which I guess I can't remember what you add to it, but just a soft drink, a fun soft drink. And then the other thing was a hot cocoa bar. Your homemade beer would fall in that category, or your husband's homemade beer.
Yes.
Something that just delights the guys especially, that, delights the guests, where they're like, we want to come over. We want to try this. It's just something really fun and unique that you're not going to get anywhere else.
The thing I haven't gotten good at is what pairs with the beer as far as dinner. So he could make a lager or something, and I'm like, I don't know what goes with that for dinner. I got to get better at that.
If it's the first course, if you're just putting a beer in somebody's hand when they first walk in, you don't have to worry about it, I don't think. True. I think if people have a drink and they're just standing around talking and they have their beer, their sparkling water or whatever, then they can enjoy that. Then you start dinner
enough,
and you don't have to really worry about how it coordinates.
Well, that's been cool. We have an old farmhouse. It's from 1880, and the basement is a fieldstone foundation, and we've never known what to do with it down there. So it finally has a place in the brewery. We've got ourselves a little stone brewery down there. It's really awesome.
But that would keep it cool.
And still dirty as a basement.
Which would make it also cool in a different way. Now, I bet that's the perfect environment for brewing beer, because in the South, you would just really be hit with the heat in a home. I mean, obviously, everybody has air conditioning, but I bet that would kind of create this natural coolness that you would need.
Yeah, it's important. Yep.
Well, I don't have homemade beer to offer people when they come to my house, but I was thinking about that like a thoughtful touch. Obviously, a full dinner and dessert is plenty, but after reading that book and hearing just different ideas at this restaurant where you have kind of this surprise gift, something that's meaningful for the person. They talked about different experiences that they would create for guests who came. But one of the things they consistently did at this restaurant was, as the guests were leaving, they gave them a small something. And it evolved, and I don't know if they still do this to this day, but what they came up with was a jar of granola, fancy granola, from the chef's heritage. I think it was kind of a Swiss type take on granola. It had pistachios and dried cherries and coconut shards, maybe chipped coconut. I can't remember what it's called. But anyway, delicious, decadent granola. They made a jar, and it was a gift as the people left. Anyway, I thought, well, I don't know if I could pull that off, but maybe if I could have little bags of granola to send with my guests, I would really be pulling it off.
That's an idea. Yeah.
Like a little something, because people do bring hostess gifts sometimes.
Or like a goat's milk soap.
Yeah. But to send a little something.
This would be like a reverse surprise.
Like, here, this is for breakfast for your family tomorrow, or a loaf of homemade bread or something like that. Life goals. I did look up that recipe because it wasn't in the book. It's called 11 Madison Park. That was the name of the restaurant. But I looked up 11 Madison Park granola, and the recipe is online. They did submit it to the New York Times. It is absolutely delicious. I would say it's the best recipe I've ever made of granola.
Wow.
The other one that people talk about is is her name like Nikisa Davis or something? Olive oil and maple granola. That's a Food 52 5-star, top rated, top recipe of all time that they have put out there. And I have made that before. Absolutely delicious. I might say this one's better. So I'll have to maybe
That
put a
sounds
link to that
awesome.
too.
Both of them.
It's really good. This one is sweet and salty. If you read reviews, there are some people who say maybe it's just a little touch too salty. And so there is the recommendation that if you wanted to cut back, you could. I would say the recipe isn't super clear on this. It's very clear, but it doesn't tell you that every single thing has to be unsalted. So if you do make it, it has to be unsalted pistachios. It has to be unsalted. What was the other thing in there?
Butter? Is there any butter in it? It would be unsalted butter.
Yeah, there's no butter. Oh, I should have this recipe in front of me. There is something else. But anyway, make sure everything is absolutely unsalted. Oh, pepitas, little pumpkin seeds.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it.
Little seeds, yep.
So make sure everything's unsweet and unsalted to start. And then when you add in your sweet and your salt, it actually is perfect.
Yeah.
It's so decadent.
Then it's right, yeah.
If you can't find, say, unsweetened coconut, which I had to search online to find a reasonably priced unsweetened coconut. But if you have to add, say you can't find unsalted pistachios and you're getting the lightly salted, well, then you are going to have to cut back on the salt a little bit.
Yeah, that makes sense. Adjust it a little bit.
And then the salt matters too. If you've ever read Salt, Fat, Acid, Heat, you know salt matters. So
I haven't read that yet. I've been really dying to read it lately because I keep hearing it talked about.
It's really good. I need to go back to it. But one of the things she talks about is the saltiness of salt and how, depending on the size of the crystal or the shape of the crystal, the density of the measurement is going to be different. Like, say you have a teaspoon of Morton's kosher salt. It's going to be far saltier than a teaspoon of Diamond Crystal. Or if you say use table salt, because it's so much denser, it's so fine that a teaspoon is going to just really pack in more salt than the crystals that are larger and different kind of shapes where there's a little air in there. So with this recipe, chefs typically use Diamond Crystal because it's not so densely salty. So just kind of research your salt and compare it to Diamond Crystal because that's what this recipe is based on.
Right. Yeah, the salt balance is really important.
Yeah. It calls for kosher. If you use Morton's, I think you'd have to cut it in half. And definitely don't use table salt.
For sure,
Please do not use table salt.
No. Not equal. No,
not equal. That's my plug for a fun guest experience. But, you know,
Sounds
I feel like your
awesome.
husband's beer might win the day.
Well, it's no work on my part, which is really nice that his end of the hospitality is something I have nothing to do with. I have to be very patient on brew days, I guess, because we've got all the 5 kids running around and he's, he uses the grains in like a big flour sack and he has to hoist them up in the garage and let them drain into the pot and boil. So it's time consuming on a brew day. But then when the beer is ready, we've got it for months. So it's, no work on my part, really.
That is incredible. What a gift to have, or what a
it's cool.
A bit of knowledge to have. That's great that he's taught himself that skill.
Yeah. He's a craftsman of all kinds, even beer.
What is your must-have kitchen item and where can we find it?
Well, I wish I had a lot of fancy kitchen items, but the honest truth is I have hardly anything in my drawers and cabinets because the kids take it all outside and play with it and just wreck everything. Like I have these beautiful stainless steel measuring cups and measuring spoons and they're gone. I have like 2 left and if I could just get them to keep my stuff in the kitchen.
A treasure hunt to find them.
Yeah, I've actually been using a 2-cup liquid measuring cup as my regular dry ingredient measuring cup for like months because they've lost everything and I just haven't gone out to buy new stuff. I should just go on Amazon. But, I'm finding that that's been fine. It's working out okay. I'm not a perfectionist with that stuff. So I'm like, it works. Okay, so the one tool that they can't lift, it's too heavy to bring outside. Well, not the one, but one of them is my Cuisinart food processor. It's got a heavy base and there's no reason to take it outside, I guess. Yeah, unless they were making a dirt smoothie.
Don't give him a reason.
Yeah.
Don't tell him that. They'll figure out a way.
So I use that thing all the time. I think we've had it. It was given to me right before we got married. So it's at least 16, 17 years old, maybe. It works amazing still. all of the pieces are still intact, even the plastic. And I do everything from making salsa or hummus in there, or just rough chopping vegetables with the little chute that goes down with like a slicer inside. And I'll use that for anything, chicken pot pies, or just slicing up veggies for a pasta salad. I just find more and more ways to use that as the years go on. So I love my food processor.
And a high quality one is worth investing in because it will last for years and years and years.
Yeah.
I'm almost sure that it was Ina Garten that had the Cuisinart food processor on her cooking shows. I don't know if she still does because I haven't watched her recent ones, but way back in the day, 20 years ago or more, she would have that. And I really wanted one, and I still don't have the Cuisinart one. I really do want it.
Yeah. I don't know what they cost, but it's great.
I've heard it has a very high reputation.
And it is. The base is very heavy. I can't imagine the motor ever breaking on me. It would be if a kid broke one of the plastic pieces for sure. Not me, a kid. It wouldn't be me breaking it. Yeah, of course not.
Right. Of course not. Of course not. I think the cost on those sorts of things, when you look at the sticker price, and you're like, oh, sticker shock, you're paying for the quality of motor. You're paying for a motor that's going to go for years and years and years and years, versus one that's going to be weak and not really do what you want and then burn out within a few years, and you have to replace it anyway. Things like KitchenAid food processors, or, I mean, you just not
mixers.
Food processors. Yes, mixers. I had one that was a refurb that never quit. I had it for so many years, I can't even count how many it was. It was a refurb, and I finally sold it on Facebook Marketplace, not because there was anything wrong with it, but just because, I think I mentioned this on here before, my husband had bought, I kept talking about I need a second bowl. There's a certain cake I make that somewhere in it you're supposed to beat egg whites, and the bowl's always dirty because I just mix the cake, so I'd have to dump out the batter and wash it, but it needed to be cold, and it was just always such pain. So I would say, I need a second bowl. So he very sweetly bought me a second bowl for Christmas, and it was for the next size up.
You had to size up then.
Yes. I had a 5.5 quart bowl, and he had bought a 6-quart bowl, and it just never was returned. Maybe it was too costly to return because he probably bought it from KitchenAid.com or something. And so it just sat in a box for about a year until the next Christmas. He surprised me with this 6-quart KitchenAid.
That's awesome.
So the bowl fit the mixer.
Well, I'm sure you made some money back off the other one, you know?
But the other one never quit.
Yep.
And refurbs are honestly so cost effective if you couldn't afford the full priced one. We got it on Amazon, and sometimes a refurb is simply somebody changed their mind and they can't sell it as brand new. It might be a brand new one. You never know. Or they look at it, fix, if there was some tiny thing wrong, they totally fix it, make sure it runs like new, and then they sell it again. But the cost can be very, very good if you are looking at a KitchenAid mixer, and they're whatever, hundreds of dollars. Depending on the size, it, of course, goes up. But I would recommend it. I think the one I have right now is a refurb, honestly.
That's
I
good
think
to
that
know.
he bought a refurb, and it looked brand new, runs brand new, no complaints at all, and it's hundreds less.
Mine is the smaller size, and it was bought brand new when we married, so it's just now having a bit of motor trouble, but my husband said he's going to open it up and try to replace the belt, so it would be refurbished then. It would probably be good to go for another 15 years or something.
Unless you need a bigger size now that you have 6 children.
True.
I don't know.
I may someday.
Right. It's funny, the different trends that are happening. So in my day, it was the original, I don't remember what size that is, the flip head, the head that pops up that's so heavy. I did not want one of those. Mine is the lift handle. I don't know what that's called. The handle lifts up the bowl and down. And it was a 5.5. Then it went 6 was the popular thing. All the wedding showers, when I looked at the registry, everybody had a 6-quart.
The hot item.
Now it's 7-quart. The hot item is a 7-quart, which for 2 people is a little bit too big. But a growing family, I can see a 7-quart.
Who knows?
My only thing would be is if I was going to get one that big, I've seen some sets that have a smaller bowl or a more shallow bowl, like it fits the mixer, but it
that's
has
a good idea.
a little bit
more squat.
It's more squat, which is better because if you're really cooking for 2 people, that huge bowl, if you're just pouring in, say, a little bit of cream to whip, you may not even get it done. Like you might need something a little bit smaller.
It would be too, yeah.
Be maybe
Yeah,
too
that
deep.
makes sense. Well, I'm going to have a daughter now, and she might like baking. I may need a new mixer, you know?
She's going to love the cupcakes and the cookies and the...
My life is
Yes.
going to change.
She's going to be using that mixer.
I'm so excited for all that.
So thrilling.
Yeah. I started a hospitality class at our homeschool co-op, and it was the first try at this, so we were just seeing if it was going to work well or not. But it was home ec / kind of a focus on hospitality. So I had like 12, 13, 14-year-old girls this whole last semester, and I, became pregnant and said, okay, well, we don't know what the baby is yet. They were so thrilled when they found out that I was having a girl, because they were like the only girls to talk hospitality or home ec at all in my life, and now I'm going to have my own.
That is so
happy
wonderful.
about that.
You're never going to lack for someone wanting to hold that baby once she arrives.
That's true. Yes,
well,
that's
speaking
true.
of those boys and all of your measuring cups and spoons disappearing, I do have a recommendation for you. Hero Merkel's episode came out recently, and she was talking about her dream would be to have a measuring cup in every single size possible and the measuring spoons in every single size possible. And I remembered, I think it was Williams-Sonoma, which is kind of expensive. I remembered seeing measuring spoons that included like smidge, a dash, a pinch, and it measured them out, like what that would have meant when people were cooking that way, whether, the pinch, how much is that? Is a smidge a little more? Is a smidge a little less? And dash, they have these teensy tiny little measuring spoons that grade each one. And so it might be an eighth of a teaspoon or a 16th of a teaspoon and that sort of thing. I found them on Amazon.
Yeah.
And so Williams-Sonoma does have a comprehensive set, I think, of the measuring cups. It seemed like a 14 cup. Maybe it was cups and spoons. Anyway, a little more up there if you can afford it. But for those on a budget, on Amazon, I did find the set of spoons that had all the different sizes, including dash, smidge, pinch, and it was $10. $10.
Wow.
And I posted it on the website.
Wow. So I need to buy like 3 or 4 sets.
And
okay,
then
that's good
also
to know.
On Amazon, I did post on the website multiple options, so you can look at them and see it works for you. But I did find on Amazon the measuring cups in all the different sizes, including the odd sizes like 1/3 or 2/3, 3/4, but also 1.5 and 2 cup, which I need. I need the 1.5 and the 2 cup.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I posted it all on the shop page. Y'all should go look and see if you need something. They are very affordable on Amazon. I will say the measuring spoons were on sale. I got them for $10. The measuring cups were not. I could look at the price tracker and it looked like they were up, but they were typically much lower. So I could see that the price dropped. So anyway, you can look at your price tracker. And if it seems like, oh, those are high.
Watch for a sale,
You can see, I think when I looked at them, they were like $43. Like, that's way too high for measuring cups. But the price tracker showed that typically the price is like in the 20s. So, like, yeah, that's what I would pay for this set, 20-something. And so just wait for it to go on sale. And you can get all the different sizes and put them in a really high cabinet. You don't have to use your 2-cup glass measuring cup anymore.
I've been tempted to buy like 5 cheap sets and then, hide them around the kitchen just so that they're there when I need them, because I can't go out in the yard and look for them. I can't do it.
I need to research a little bit more, but supposedly those cups, with the handles, they all have handles, but you know what I'm saying? It's the liquid versus the dry.
The Pyrex or the,
The liquid versus the dry. The Pyrex is the liquid, and the other kind of stainless steel would be the dry. I'm not sure. Like, I mean, is the measurement the exact same? I know with baking, you're supposed to be really precise. I don't know. Is it exactly the same?
Yeah, you're right. I think
dry versus liquid.
I don't think it's exactly the same. I think there's a bit of a difference, but it's worked out okay so far. I've just been roughing it.
It works out okay. It's probably really close. I think the Probably the hard thing is if you were measuring, say, flour, you want it to be airy. You don't want to pack it, and putting it inside a
Yeah.
container would be hard to level off and not pack it down, that sort of thing. Whereas if you had a measuring cup, you could.
Yes, much easier for sure. I just did it today. I was just making pizza dough and I'm like, well, this is just what I have. I'm using it. And I have just found, but I mean, even with bread and stuff, it works out okay. I don't know. I am always just trying to feed so many people so quickly that I don't pay attention to those minute details. I would like to at some point in my life, but that's not where I'm at right now. Not there.
Well, you know what that is forcing you into? You're probably becoming a cook who is very good at just feeling things and eyeing things, and that's actually a gift.
That's more my
You're
style,
not
yeah.
stuck on a cookbook or by the exact measurement. You can see what it needs.
Yeah.
And it's actually a good way to cook.
I was just looking at a recipe book that was like the official US military recipes in huge quantities because I'm just starting to think about not catering, like starting a business catering, but maybe providing for some of the young ladies who will need wedding food at our church as they grow and stuff. And I'm like, oh, I need that huge military cookbook, just even to feed my kids. I'm eyeing it. I got to check it out.
Oh, yeah. When those boys hit the teenage years, that's the book you'll need.
Yep, it's starting. It has started, yes.
It has started.
Yeah.
Well, already one is in the teenage years,
Yeah,
so it
yeah.
has begun. Have fun with that. Well, tell us a story from all of your years of hospitality with all of your children. Do you have anything fun or funny?
Goodness.
Or serious? Whatever pops in your head.
I don't think that any of my kids specifically have ruined anything yet or done anything crazy. It really has probably been more my fault or Tony's maybe, but I think back to my mom and dad who really were the people that showed hospitality and an example of that in my life. Where I grew up in San Antonio, we didn't have any family. They were both Air Force, and our family was our church. And so we did a lot of hosting just groups of people that we loved from church, and they did with us for holidays and stuff. One of the first memories I have of any kind of hospitality event was us having over a small group, like a Bible study for the first time. And just the way my mom handled it. We had been eating dinner a little while before, and our little cat, who we've loved, and we had him for like 20 years, he was just a beloved cat. He ended up with half a tail because he was sitting on a fence while we were eating dinner, and a big husky dog that lived behind us came and bit, bit half his tail off.
That's traumatic.
It was. Little girls.
During family dinner.
Yeah, little girls eating dinner with their mom and dad, and there's this terrible sound outside. So I remember, though, we were having guests pull up for this Bible study in like 5 minutes. You know, we were eating a simple dinner just to be fed and then moving on to Bible study time. So my mom pulls this cat who he's like famous in my household. His name was Hoosier Diddle. Pulls him inside, and he is bleeding. And it's gross. It's pretty gross.
Poor thing.
He had like kind of a stump on the end and was just painfully whipping his little tail around. So she stuck him into the laundry room in the back of the house and closed him in. And he's meowing and really upset, obviously traumatic. And she just kept him in there for a couple hours while we had all our guests over. And she just moved forward with no anxiety or, worried feelings. She just was wonderful to everybody, like she always is. And Hoosier Diddle was in the back laundry room, bleeding on everything and just whipping that tail everywhere.
Oh,
so gross.
Poor
So
thing.
gross. So needless to say, he went to the vet the next day. He had half a tail for the next 16 years of his life, however long it was he lived. And that was so funny because it always reminded us of that night. And just my mom was so gracious.
Guests walking in the door in 5 minutes and your mom having to keep her composure and be calm. And
so he got,
wow.
I remember I was probably 8 or so. He got declawed at the same appointment when they fixed his tail. He probably got neutered and everything because he was a kitten. So he came home with a cast on his half tail and on all 4 paws. So he was just a mess. I mean, so cute though. So cute. Just casts everywhere.
And then lived another 16 years.
He did, yeah. He died an old man cat and, lived a great life. But that was weird. That was really a strange situation to be in. I'm sure my mom, I just think back, if she could handle that, I think I can handle a few kids, wrecking something in the house or something. We've never had anything that traumatic happen.
Exactly. Right. Oh, that would be traumatic.
Gross, gross, but
Wow,
hilarious.
that one tops the story chart.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Lorin, for joining me and for sharing all of your tips and your recipes and your thoughts on hospitality. I have enjoyed our conversation so much.
Thank you. Me too.
Until next time, bye for now. Before you go, if you enjoyed this episode, take a second to follow the show and leave a review. It really helps the podcast grow and reach new listeners. Thanks for listening, and if someone came to mind during this conversation, be sure to share this episode with them.